Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, ever since this fight was signed, there was talks of the corruption in the sport of boxing, at least the judges, when it comes to Canelo Alvarez in particular. You've heard BJ Saunders come out and say he doesn't think Danny Jacobs will get a fair shake. He said he believes Danny Jacobs is skilled enough to beat Canelo. He doesn't believe the judges will be fair. Then Edeslani Lara, he came out and said the same thing. He said there's no way he can win a decision. Both BJ Saunders and Edeslani Lara, they said that Danny Jacobs needs to knock out Canelo to win the fight. Now, the irony of that is I had said that way before BJ Saunders and Edeslani Lara said it. In fact, when this fight was signed, I told you guys that I'm picking Canelo to win this fight because he will have the edge if the fight is close. And Danny Jacobs, he knows this. Matter of fact, Danny Jacobs, he said we have to put a lot of pressure on these judges to do the right thing. Let me quote exactly what Danny Jacobs had to say. I do feel there's going to be a lot of pressure on the judges, and we're going to make note of that and keep everybody accountable because we're going to be going in there, risking our lives and fighting for everything. We want to make sure everybody gets paid for what they do. We want to keep people accountable for judging fights the way they see it, not based on influence from the crowd or influence from other sources. End quote. You know, guys, there are many different ways to eliminate corruption when it comes to judging in the sport of boxing. One way is to create a point system. What happens in your job if you're late too many times? They may let you slide maybe the first or second time, but after that, you get written up. And then after you get written up a couple times, they let you go, right? There needs to be a structure like that in the sport of boxing for judges. They also need to be put on the spotlight more often. For example, Levi Martinez. He's the man from New Mexico that scored the Canelo versus Lara fight, and he had Canelo winning almost every single round in a fight a lot of people believe Lara won. There needs to be a house of judges that can basically dissect a fight and know at least when a fight was extremely close and did it warrant one judge or multiple judges to score the fight 11 rounds to 1 or 10 rounds to 2. Because in a scenario like that, it should be an obvious no-brainer that that judge is partial if he scored the fight that way. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. There are certain fights where one fighter is doing one thing, the other fighter is doing another. For example, you may have a volume puncher, but he's not really landing his punches, and then he's going up against a guy or he's facing a guy who's extremely accurate, but he's not throwing as many punches. In a situation like that, sometimes it is a little bit more subjective how you score the fight. But I'm not talking about situations like that. I'm talking about those fights where one fighter is clearly winning round 1, 3, or 7, etc., where you can clearly see both fighters are landing punches. It's not as subjective. And then one judge, he has one fighter winning almost every single round, when the fighter he awarded the decision to wasn't even really throwing punches, let alone landing punches in a lot of those rounds. See, that's more obvious, and that's what we need to be looking out for. You know, I told you guys in my video when I reported what BJ Saunders said about this fight, when BJ Saunders said the same thing Edeslani Lara said, him saying that Danny Jacobs doesn't have that much of a chance if he doesn't knock out Canelo Alvarez. I told you guys in that video, Canelo fans are not going to care if Canelo gets a gift decision or not. They're not going to say, look, I'm a Canelo Alvarez fan, but Danny Jacobs was clearly robbed and he won that fight, no doubt. They're not going to do that. And it was proven they're not going to do that in my last video I did with Edeslani Lara, because I looked at some of the comments and you had a lot of Canelo Alvarez fans that were trying to defend Canelo by comparing him to Floyd Mayweather, saying, hey, well, what about Floyd Mayweather? Before I even get deeper into this, I just want to ask the rhetorical question. Now understand this, guys. These are the same fans that have been calling Floyd Mayweather racial slurs, the N-word, mayate, and boring, gay runner, saying all of this in the comment sections for years, admitting they don't like him, they despise him. Let them tell it they don't even like his name being mentioned. If I were to expose a racial double standard and I use Floyd as an example, even though they even agree with what I said, they're mad that I even brought it up because they don't like Floyd Mayweather. And it makes them feel guilty when I expose those double standards. So with me saying all of that, how is it possible that these are the same fans that want to compare Canelo Alvarez to Floyd Mayweather? Why would you compare the fighter that you admire and you look up to, the fighter that you love, why would you compare him to a fighter that you claim you hate so much? The only reason you would do that is deep down you have always envied Floyd Mayweather. You have always wanted your favorite fighter to be that. You see, it's a hell of an indirect compliment, and these decafs, they don't even realize they're complimenting Floyd Mayweather. Because you could have compared Canelo Alvarez to Oscar De La Hoya, which makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, he's promoted by Oscar De La Hoya. He's trying to follow in Oscar De La Hoya's steps. And even though he's not as big as Oscar De La Hoya was, Oscar De La Hoya's goal was to make him the golden boy today. So why are they comparing him to Floyd and not Oscar? It's because Oscar was not as successful as Floyd Mayweather. Because Oscar wasn't looked at as the best fighter of his era, his generation. Floyd Mayweather is. So they don't want to compare him to the guy who plays second or third. They want to compare Canelo to number one. Whenever any fighter that they like is criticized, Gennady Golovkin, Elio Santa Cruz, any fighter, they compare that fighter to Floyd Mayweather. But the problem, fans, is when you try to compare someone like a Canelo to the best fighter of this generation, all you do is hurt Canelo even more. You think you're helping him, but you're really hurting him. Because you could have just pled the fifth and kept your mouth shut. But instead, your pride won't allow that. So you start making stupid excuses that make no sense. And then when we start to open up the conversation that you created, that just makes Canelo Alvarez look even worse. Case in point, once again, Canelo Alvarez fans, instead of them saying something that would have actually made themselves look better and say, well, I hope that the judges don't rob Danny Jacobs, and I hope if Canelo does win, he wins fair and square, whatever. Instead of them saying something like that, they say, hey, well, what about Floyd Mayweather? Which really sounds like they're saying it's okay for Canelo to win by robbery. Because, hey, Floyd Mayweather was doing the same thing. But let's go ahead and once again, since you guys love bringing up Floyd Mayweather so much, let's go ahead, draw the dichotomy, and create the distinction between the two. So when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, if you were to say Floyd Mayweather, he got a gift decision against Castillo, the difference from Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez is Floyd Mayweather, he gave Castillo an immediate rematch. He gave him an immediate rematch. And keep in mind, guys, no one really knew who Castillo was. So Floyd Mayweather, he could have walked away from that first fight and never looked back at that Castillo fight. But instead, he put everything on the line to give a guy who didn't really have a name a second chance. And Floyd Mayweather beat him decisive in the rematch. Canelo, on the other hand, he did the complete opposite. He walked away from Erislandy Lara, a rematch at least, in a fight that a lot of people thought Lara had won. In Canelo's most difficult fight, he walked away from the rematch. Canelo, he walked away from the fight. Now, after the fight, Canelo's people, they said, we're not going to fight that guy again because he's a runner and we don't like his style, etc., etc. But we know that's a bald-faced lie because Canelo ended up fighting Amir Khan later on, which they knew he was going to be on his bicycle the entire night, and they did not care. To take the hypocrisy even further, when Canelo fought against Angulo, Canelo, he openly told the media that he will most likely be moving in this fight because of Angulo's charging style. And that's exactly what Canelo did. He moved around the ring. He's moved around the ring in a couple of his fights. So it's a clear lie when you guys say you don't like that style, because you guys have used that style in other fights. Something else about the Canelo versus Lara fight. I told you guys in my last video that Canelo really had no reason or excuse not to take the rematch other than him thinking it was a difficult fight that he may not win. Now, once again, Canelo Alvarez fans, they try to jump in and defend Canelo by just saying anything based off pride and not logic. So they say, hey, well, when Canelo fought against Golovkin, he did damn near 1 million pay-per-views. So that 400,000 is nothing. But the Canelo versus Golovkin fight was 5 years after the Lara fight. It wasn't his very next fight. I mean, imagine if Floyd Mayweather didn't take the Castillo rematch. And I told you guys the reason why he didn't take it because it wasn't a big fight, and because after all, he did over 4 million pay-per-view buys against Manny Pacquiao. Would that make any damn sense? Of course not. A Pacquiao fight that he damn near took 12 years later after the Castillo fight. Something else I want to say about these fans trying to compare Canelo's situation to Floyd Mayweather. When it came to Floyd Mayweather did not have a reputation of getting gift decisions. When Floyd Mayweather stepped up in competition, he usually dominated his opponents. The fights were usually never close. Once again, the only fight that was close was the Castillo fight. And a lot of people don't know this as well, but it was really HBO's bias-ass Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant that really started the whole robbery narrative. Because Jim Lampley even admitted later on the following week, when they rebroadcast the fight, Jim Lampley admitted that the writers that were ringside that night, 8 out of 12 of those writers had Floyd Mayweather winning the fight. So the majority of the media writers, they had Floyd winning, and the actual official judges had Floyd Mayweather winning. And keep in mind, this was way before the influence of social media. I mean, don't you guys find it a bit ironic that the majority of fans that you usually hear saying Floyd Mayweather got a gift decision against Castillo are coincidentally fans that hate Floyd Mayweather's guts? Isn't that a conflict of interest? That's why you really can't take those fans serious when they say it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who you or me thought won the fight, because Floyd Mayweather, he gave Castillo a rematch right away and then beat him decisively, more decisively, in the rematch. Like I said before, when Floyd Mayweather stepped up in competition, when it was a 50-50 fight, or if Floyd was even the underdog, Floyd Mayweather, he thrived, he overperformed, he exceeded expectations. Those were his best performances. Genaro Hernandez, that was a 50-50 fight. In fact, I believe Floyd was the underdog in that fight. Floyd was definitely the underdog against Diego Corrales. When Floyd fought against Angel Manfredi, that was considered a 50-50 fight. In fact, they thought, when I say they, HBO commentary team, they actually thought that it was too early for Floyd to take on a tough Angel Manfredi. Floyd Mayweather, he knocked out Angel Manfredi, he knocked out Diego Corrales, and he knocked out Genaro Hernandez. And once again, guys, you Canelo fans brought this on yourself. You guys are the ones that keep comparing Canelo to Floyd Mayweather, so let's continue to compare the two. Every single time Canelo was in a fight that was considered a 50-50 fight, he struggled against the competition. That's a fact. Floyd Mayweather's first big test is when he stepped up in competition, and like I said, he was somewhat of an underdog against Genaro Hernandez. He stopped Genaro Hernandez. That was one of Floyd's best performances. By way of contrast, Canelo's first step up in competition was against Austin Trout. When he fought against Austin Trout, he struggled against Austin Trout. A lot of people don't know this, but when Floyd Mayweather fought Diego Corrales was rated higher than Floyd Mayweather on the pound-for-pound list. Floyd Mayweather went in there, knocked him out. Once again, one of Floyd Mayweather's best performances. By way of contrast, again, Canelo Alvarez, he went up against a 37-year-old Floyd Mayweather and got completely dominated. When Canelo Alvarez stepped up in competition against Lara, a lot of people thought Lara won the fight. when Canelo stepped up in competition against Golovkin. Both of those fights could have went either way. And I'm gonna keep saying this. Once again, when Floyd Mayweather beat Canelo Alvarez, Floyd Mayweather, he beat Canelo Alvarez after moving up 5 weight classes in his late 30s, going up against a bigger, stronger fighter that was 14 years younger than him. Let's reverse the roles. Imagine if it was Floyd Mayweather that was 23. Hell, it wouldn't even matter if he was 21. Imagine if it was Floyd Mayweather that was 21 to 23 years old. He's fighting at his natural weight class, above the weight class that Canelo Alvarez fights at. Canelo's already moved up 5 weight classes, and Canelo is closer to age 40 than he is to age 30. Who wins that fight? Everyone knows Floyd Mayweather would win that fight more decisively than he won the fight they had already. We all know there ain't no way Floyd Mayweather is going to lose to a guy naturally smaller than him, 14 years older than him, and doesn't have the boxing IQ that Floyd Mayweather has. If you don't believe me, all you have to do is look at the Floyd Mayweather versus Juan Manuel Marquez fight. The excuses these fans made for why Juan Manuel Marquez got dominated are the same excuses they would have used if the roles were reversed and if it was Floyd Mayweather that was the 23-year-old going up against a smaller Canelo Alvarez, saying Canelo Alvarez was too young, he was too inexperienced. Canelo Alvarez was a world champion when he fought against Floyd Mayweather. He was 23 years old. So there are no excuses. So if Canelo was so inexperienced, why didn't Manny Pacquiao take the fight? Manny Pacquiao turned down the Canelo fight 2 times. And he has the exact same level of experience Floyd Mayweather has. Let's go back to the Marquez fight. Floyd Mayweather beating Juan Manuel Marquez. Once again, you guys brought this on yourself. Since you always want to compare your fighters to Floyd, let's go ahead and talk about it. When Floyd Mayweather beat Juan Manuel Marquez, why is it Manny Pacquiao had to fight Juan Manuel Marquez 4 times and could never beat him decisively to where he did not have to give him another fight? Yet Floyd Mayweather comes in off a 2-year retirement and dominates Juan Manuel Marquez the very first time. You can't use size as an excuse, because even Manny Pacquiao said in the dressing room before his 3rd fight with Juan Manuel Marquez, he said, the reason why I'm going to beat Juan Manuel Marquez even more decisive is because I'm the bigger man. That's what he said. He said, I've been fighting much bigger opponents. I'm the bigger man. He went in there in that 3rd fight, and a lot of people thought he lost the fight. Then, of course, he got knocked out in the 4th fight. You can't compare any of these fighters to Floyd Mayweather. I mean, to suggest that Canelo Alvarez, he would have beat Floyd Mayweather if he was in Floyd Mayweather's shoes, which means Canelo would have been 37 or 38. To say something like that is to suggest that Canelo Alvarez at age 37, when he gets 37, he's going to be dominating younger, undefeated, stronger champions at a higher weight class than he is now. How many of you Canelo Alvarez fans think Canelo is going to be doing that damn near 10 years from now? I rest my case. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.